What is going on? Welcome to this week's episode of the 1 Second of Strength podcast. Wherever you're at, I'm grateful you're here, grateful you're listening, grateful you're spending those valuable seconds with me. And today we're going to talk about some fun that happened to us over the last week or so. My son and I were able to go on this high adventure backpacking trip. Overall, it was like a 20-mile trip. And I want to talk a little bit today about a few of the lessons learned on that trip. It was hard. It was difficult. My pack was about 50 pounds, 55 pounds. My son was probably around the 40-pound range. And we're not hikers. We're not. We don't really do that. And so we did do a little bit of training, and by a little, like a few days of it, but it wasn't nothing crazy. But as we were hiking up this hill, so the first 4 miles. The first day was about 7 miles long. It took about 7.5 hours. So we were at a slow pace. There was about 20 of us, 22. About half were youth and teenage boys, and the other ones were the fathers. But the first 4 miles of this hike were brutal, like just absolutely brutal. And it was in 4 miles, it was about a 2,000 foot elevation gain. So it was a lot of uphill, a lot of difficulty, a lot of challenges. And I anticipated as we were going into this climb that, first of all, I thought some of the boys weren't going to make it. Like just flat out, we're not going to make it up this climb. In fact, I was texting with one of the leaders before, and they had done this like pre-hike, and I was like, hey, how did this boy do? And he's like, oh, he's gonna die, and it was just like, but it was really, really hard. And I work out, I exercise, so like I felt decent about my strength, but man, it was a lot. It was difficult. I had bruised hips from the pack. Like it was hard, but everyone survived. But one of the things I realized as we were going up this mountain, and I was looking out for my son, myself, the other, and everybody, every time we'd stop, we'd check in. How are you doing? How's it going? What's going on? You wanted to, really support people. But what I realized on the climb is that nobody really complained. Yes, it was hard. Yes, we'd get to a spot and we'd be like, man, that was tough. And then we just keep going. In fact, I was so impressed with my son, who's 16 years old, and he just went. Like he led the pack for miles and miles and miles, where he would just go, 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 go. Cause he had this I just got to get there mentality. I just got to go through. And I think that's the biggest first lesson I learned on this hike, is that when we were in the middle of this and we are miles away from the car, there is no turning back. There's no going backwards. No one is going back down the mountain to there's no way out. But when there's no way out, there's only a way through. And your mind has this incredible ability of resilience, of strength to just move through. In fact, our theme for the trip was grit. Greatness requires intentional toughness. And it was very important how intentional you were about moving through this, because as you were going and as you recognized there was no stopping, you could stop, but there was no going backwards. There, you could only go through. And one of my favorite quotes says, a man who's drowning will do almost anything to find air. I love that quote. A man who's drowning will do almost anything to find air. And on this trip, air was, we got to get to our camp spot. We got to just keep pushing through, because there was no stopping. There was no way out. And when you eliminate excuses from your life, whatever mountain you're climbing, proverbial mountain you're climbing right now, if you are, dealing with family struggles, if you are dealing with personal mental health struggles, if you are dealing with, a business, maybe you're an entrepreneur, maybe you just work somewhere, maybe, whatever it is, whatever you're doing in life, what is the challenge? What is the mountain in front of you? What is the thing that you're facing right now? And recognize that when you don't give yourself a way out and you only give yourself a way through, you will get through it. I think it's one of the most beautiful lessons you can learn in life. And I think too often we dabble, we start doing things that are hard, or pursuing a passion or a dream or a vision. And we maybe put a plan in place, but it gets hard. It's going to be hard. Nothing worthwhile is easy, right? It's going to be hard. And too many of us, when we give ourselves a way out, when it gets difficult, when push comes to shove, we take that way out. And we've got to be better at just recognizing that there is no way out. There's only a way through. And when we do that, progress, growth, happiness are the destination. So that's the first thing I learned on this climb, this brutal first part of this climb. The second thing is this, and it goes along with the difficulty of the challenge, but when we arrived at our camp spot, we camped near this beautiful lake. We were in Wyoming, the Wind Rivers, if you've ever been to the Wind Rivers of Wyoming, and it was pine trees down to the water and just tons of mosquitoes, by the way, but it was just beautiful, like just stunningly beautiful, and the kind of terrain and territory that you just don't see anywhere else. Like it doesn't, you can't experience that unless you get away from society. And what was crazy about this is we were 4 days in the mountains. We didn't see another soul. No other hikers hiked past where we were at, which is crazy, right? It was just us, which was really cool. But one thing is, because of this terrain, because of the difficulty, because of the challenge, because of what it takes to actually get there, it's very, this view and the scenery that we had is almost, it's unadulterated. Like no one's seen it. And it's this reminder in life that the prettiest views come after the hardest climbs. And I want you to think about that for a minute in your life, the challenges, the things that you're facing, or the things that you've overcome in your life. And when we arrive at a destination, because we've put in the work, we've put in the effort, we've done the hard stuff, there is so much to celebrate that. That's the prettiest view you can have, right? You've created something and now you get to admire it. That's exactly what this hike was. We had done this hard work, 7 miles in, difficult, hard, challenging. And when we got to the end, that was it. We had the prettiest view. And so whatever you're going through in life, remember that on the other side of that struggle, on the other side of that difficulty is the prettiest view you can possibly see. But you do have to get through it. You do have to keep pushing. You do have to get there. But you will arrive at it. And when we create something for ourselves, it holds a different value in our lives and in our mind than anything else. And one of the greatest things you can create for yourself is yourself. What are you doing right now to work on yourself? Because I just have had this thought recently that self-worth takes self-work. And if we're not willing to work on ourselves, it's hard to feel the worth that we have. So take today and come up with some things that you're going to work on yourself. Maybe it's just exercise. You need to start exercising more. Maybe it's, loving yourself. Maybe it's personal development, whatever it is, but start working on yourself. And when you work on yourself, you will recognize the worth because you will hold value on something that you created for yourself. And I just love that thought. So prettiest views come after the hardest climb. And then the last thing that I learned on this hike, and I've known this for a long time, but maybe to help you, is that people matter. People matter. There wasn't a single person that went throughout this hike that didn't check on other people to see how they were doing, to see what was going on, to see what, how they were managing the climb, how they were managing. And then when we got to camp, it was helping out and like helping people set up and making sure people had food and could boil water and all these things. Community matters. And when you're doing something hard or when you've done something hard, the people around you matter. And we can't always rely on people because it is us. We're the ones that are in the fight and we have to push through and do it. However, you can, in every instance, in every situation, be kind, be loving, be courteous, be there for other people. And when you're there for other people, when you serve other people, when you're helping other people, it makes the load that you're carrying so much easier. When we stop focusing on us and start focusing on other, life changes. So anyway, it was just this incredible hike. And I hope those little 3 things helped you. You have to go through the challenges you're facing. You can't give yourself a way out. The prettiest views come after hardest climb. And in everything, service matters and loving other people and caring for other people matters. And when we do that, it lightens the load that we're carrying on our own backs. So I hope this helped you. Share this with someone else. If you haven't shared this episode or this podcast, the only way it really gets out to more people is if you share it. I would appreciate it if you would just share this with someone else, one other person. You can share it to your Instagram stories. You can tag me. I will reshare that for you. But it really helps me. And then if you could just go real quick, wherever you're listening, subscribe and leave a rating and review. So that you don't miss another episode. It helps me out a ton as well. So anyway, wherever you're at, I will leave you the same way I always leave you. Go find your 1 second of strength and be happy.